We have a special guest today. As you all can see here on the YouTube, we have Bree joining us.
Woo! Bree! What's up?
Bree.
A finalist.
The biggest K-pop stan in Survivor Michigan history.
That actually is probably true. It probably won't be like true the longer these. They're like what, season 11 now?
Yeah.
Mm.
Are there any next gen people coming for your crown?
Probably. They've probably been like standing since they were like in middle school and high school. You know how they are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Is that how the Zoomers are these days? Like standing since they're like 10 years old?
Yeah. It's crazy because they have so much more access to internet than like we did. So I think that's really what it is.
Yeah.
When did you first enter stan culture, Bree? That's your first question of your interview.
Yeah, we're starting with the hard-hitting questions.
Yeah. Starting with the hardballs.
Sure, it was when I was in 6th grade, so like 2010, 2011, when I first started watching Degrassi and Glee. Like loosely, like the Disney Channel era, because that was like the Jonas Brothers, Demi, Selena, and Miley.
Yeah.
And then Twilight, but like hardcore, like internet stan, Degrassi, Glee time. So.
Which team in Twilight?
Team Jacob.
Oh.
I love Robert Pattinson now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was Team Jacob too back in the day.
I've always been Team Edward, Robert Pattinson.
I was Team Jacob because he went to my elementary school.
Oh,
what?
Yeah.
Wow, fun fact.
I feel like,
So I was
Wait,
like,
I don't remember this.
I'm a hometown boy, you know?
Taylor's from Michigan?
Yeah, West Michigan boy.
Yep.
Debbie
What?
Ryan's from
She's a
Keller,
runner.
so she's my hometown girl.
Debbie Ryan's an icon.
Debbie Ryan. Oh, also the Jonas Brothers, right?
Yeah, so they moved when I was like in 4th or 5th grade, so I don't really count them as like true Texans. Because they're from like Jersey or something originally.
Bailey, you talked about how she used to be friends with Frankie Jonas.
Yeah, because Frankie he like went to her high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I did not know this.
Yeah, Demi and Selena are also around, like from the area. A few other like Disney people from the area. Yeah, like DFW was like big.
Yeah, what the heck? You guys had like all the Disney icons. Like that was the prime Disney generation.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's really
Wow.
true. It kind of went downhill after Good Luck Charlie ended.
Good Luck Charlie was so funny. I feel like I stopped watching around the time when like Dog with the Blog started blowing up. That was like when I stopped watching.
No idea what that is.
For a while.
Oh.
No, definitely the best era was the Hannah Montana Sweet Life.
Was this a Waverly Place?
Yeah.
Remember when they did that, like the That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like the Avengers Endgame.
That was the Avengers Endgame.
No, literally, I was like, that is why I care so much about watching like these reality shows live, because Disney had me like Friday 8/7 Central. I gotta watch.
No, literally.
It's kind of the original All Stars in a way, you know?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's had the Disney Channel games. That was literally All Stars.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Oh,
True.
man.
Yeah. People like I've heard Ian compare All Stars to Avengers Endgame, but it's really I think the Avengers Endgame was just copying Disney Channel games.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And like also like the SpongeBob and Jimmy Neutron, like When Worlds Collide.
Yes. And Timmy Turner and Jimmy.
Oh, yeah.
Tweety versus Tweety.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you're like kind of working in the entertainment industry now, aren't you? That's like. Wait, no?
I mean, I was, and then I got let go, and then I've been looking for a job, and then the strike happened.
Oh, the strike.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I have like some connections, and like one company is saying if there's an opening for development, they'll like contact me. But with the strike, which I'm trying to go protest because I like want to be participating and support the writers. But yeah, it's kind of tough because even though unscripted is supposed to like have a big moment, it's like the summers always has unscripted shows.
Yeah.
So, like, I think I missed getting into any of those. But the fall will be interesting if the strike's still happening. So
that's true. Wait, so are you looking in non-entertainment now, or are you?
So because Previously, I was like trying to just like look for anything, but then I got Starbucks, and now I'm like focusing again on trying to get back into entertainment. The thing is like unscripted and scripted are like pretty separate, and I don't really have that much interest in being in scripted television. Unscripted is just like so much fun.
Yeah.
And that's like reality shows, but also like documentaries. So like the true crime sphere, any kind of documentary. So it's like it's just fun.
Wait, so what it
like the distinction was like scripted and unscripted?
So scripted is just like anything that's like they have a script for it. So everything that's shut down right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's like something I just didn't think about was like documentaries being unscripted before I got in but I'm like, duh, they're just asking them questions and they're answering. It's like podcasts are also unscripted. So like a lot of companies will host podcasts.
Oh, we have a script. We're following a script right now.
Oh,
yeah.
We have a teleprompter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but unscripted is really fun because a lot of research. And I didn't like realize how much research it was before getting into it. But like, I love just like finding niche things and like getting all that information and being like, maybe this could be a show. Yeah.
Wait, so what exactly were you doing at your old company again? Was it casting?
No, I was doing development. So
okay.
I did do casting for an internship with Ian and Mary. So that was like 2 summers ago. But I like development more. And that's just like creating ideas and then making like pitch decks and like trying to sell the shows to companies. So it's all the like front work. And then once they buy a show, then you're like continuing to develop. So that's when you involve like casting and all that.
Oh, okay.
But like it's basically like stage management where like I would do a lot of pre-production work and then it'd be like, okay, time for rehearsals. And the actors are like just now starting. But I've been doing work for like weeks.
That's cool.
Awesome.
So yeah, walk us through kind of what happened after All Stars finished. Finished filming, right? Because you graduated, right? Move. What's the whole thing? Are you still in Michigan?
No. So I was a junior, unlike a lot of the people when they finished. So I still had to be on campus for like that whole pandemic year. But that was pretty easy. Maggie and Sam and Abby were my neighbors. So it was silly. And yeah, so I finished out senior year. I got my internship with the Television Academy, but Mary was my host company. And then I moved to LA. So that's where I'm at now. I'm in the Valley. Yeah, and then I had my TV job for a year, and then I was let go because of the financial reasons.
Yeah.
But I'm still out here. I'm working at Starbucks. I kind of love Starbucks, which I hate that I love it. I feel like I shouldn't say that. We are not a unionized store, so. But it's fun. I think it's like because when I was younger, I was obsessed with Starbucks. I like wanted to be a barista, so it's like I'm like living a life where I'm like having one of my dream jobs.
Yeah,
which is fun. And the coworkers are really great. So yeah.
I mean, you're checking off all the bucket lists. Like you're on reality TV, and then you worked on reality TV, and now you're like learning barista. Like you're picking up every little skill you could.
Well, like even like I was like a lifeguard once. I did orientation leading. Like I always have like the fun.
Oh yeah, these are the fun jobs. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I kind of love that about I think our generation is like we can float around and it's not like unnecessary. It's like I have to be in a career and like stick with it, and, like push through.
Yeah.
So Bree, floating.
Yes.
I've never heard you say that before.
Floating. Yeah.
I was gonna say
decisions, so that's.
I was gonna say, would you ever want to be on reality TV, like an actual show, non-Star Michigan?
I don't know. I don't really want to be public figures, like the main thing. Mainly because I am actually pretty introverted and shy, and I like life. But like my friend Emily is always like, you need to do Big Brother, because I think that is the one show. Okay,
I want to do Big Brother.
I feel like I could do really well in Big Brother.
Yeah,
but,
you would.
Like it's just like being on live feeds. I think it would be too much.
That is a lot. It's like there's like no privacy at all. Like
And
I
you
don't
say
know.
like one thing out of context, and then all of a sudden people are clipping it and like Bree's over party, you know?
And
Like,
I like actually say problematic things frequently out of podcast. So yeah, but also I'm obsessed with the challenge now, and like Big Brother's a theater for the challenge, and I'm like, that would be so much fun. Even though I'd be awful at the challenge, I'd have a lot of fun.
At the same time, for like Big Brother though, you would get like all the live theater BTS stands and like K-pop stands would be on your side, and like the K-pop army is just running the like polls, you know, that would like whenever they do things to, like send stuff in, you know, you would instantly win, you know, all the polls,
fan fave for sure.
Survivor Michigan will then become a feeder to Big Brother, so you'll pick up all their fans
That's
too.
true. Yeah,
we have one technically.
Yeah, Claire. And she won Amazing Race.
I know.
Yeah.
She's really living my dream life right now.
It's still possible. Yeah. That is one thing I've thought about. Those like our prime is now. So
I know.
I have like 6 years to figure out if I want to do reality TV or not.
I mean, your prime will be over.
Yeah, it really will be. Like
6 years, then we're done.
Yeah.
30-years.
About like Gabler, you know, you could win $1 million.
Survivor is really different. There's a lot of like the average age is like 30s winners. So I think like, but I'm not interested in real Survivor. The camping, being outside, the looking for idols. Like that's not me.
I feel like I'm the opposite. I like the outdoor aspects, and like I haven't watched much Big Brother, but I feel like Survivor feels more chaotic to me. Almost like I don't know. It just feels like something I would do. Big Brother, I feel like I would just like get antsy.
Yeah, there's a lot of dead space because like since it is live, they do a lot. They front load all the competitions to like Thursday through Sunday, like in the house. And then it's like Monday through Thursday, you're waiting for like the eviction vote. So like usually by Tuesday, the fan kind of know who's going home. Sometimes something interesting does happen. But yeah, you would get antsy versus especially the current Survivor where they're doing shit every day. It's 26 days. Like you don't have time to breathe. So
yeah, Sam, I feel like you would go like crazy and like want to like stir stuff up, you know, like you did like early on in All Stars. But like
the thing, it's like if it happens faster, there's not enough time for people to like remember the shit you did 2 days ago because it's like already other stuff has happened since then that they're talking about, so you can get away with a lot more, probably.
And I feel like that's why Brie with like a more more low key strategy, you know, more social game that like tends to be a lot better in Big Brother.
That's very true.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like you played probably one of the best social games that like we've seen in Survivor Michigan, like, and especially like, I think definitely of this season. That's like what people kept saying over and over. Like, what was that part of your strategy, like coming into the season, like, or is it just kind of a part of your personality?
I think kind of both, but I definitely was thinking more of a Big Brother mindset because of the time length of Survivor Michigan. Like how we're talking about, there is like dead time. So like having those social bonds with people is a lot more important than I think season 2. I was trying to play more like Survivor strategy. And also I was a bigger fan of Survivor during season 2. And then by season 5 happening, I was more of a Big Brother girl. So yeah. And also, because I also think like Sam got the label a lot of like pre-gaming really hard with people. And like I didn't really get that, even though I was also still going to all the parties, still really social, but I still had beef with people. Like I still made sure I had enemies. Like I wanted to be friends with everyone. Like so yeah, like I definitely that was like with Will at the beginning. I was like, I can't just like be mean to Will because I have my outside issues with him at the time. Like otherwise it's gonna become like a Brie versus Will thing if Sangria goes to tribal council. And like that it's like why even bother with that shit? Like let's just push it to the side, let's play the game, let's have an alliance. So yeah, I definitely went into it being like social strategy is your best bet. So yeah. Especially because there's so many masterminds I felt like that were on this season. Like I couldn't be like a lot of y'all.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Do you think you went into season 5, I guess you said you were a bigger Survivor fan for season 2. Do you think you were trying to be like more strategic in season 2, and then because of that you like kind of laid off on season 5 and played more social?
Yeah, I also like didn't. I still really, because I'll be real, I haven't watched season 2 or season 1 yet.
Really?
Yeah, it's like I've seen episodes, but like I really probably like can't fully understand like my eventual vote out because I've only seen like the premiere and like my episode to go out for like the podcast last time. I did watch all of season 5, so
Okay.
but like that was things like I felt like a lot of it was part of it was just like socially I wasn't as strong, but like y'all were all older than me, so like that was just hard. I was living on North Campus, like it is what it is. There was environmental aspects with it, but y'all just were like so strategic, and I was trying to keep up. Like I would come up with strategy and whatnot, but I feel like I was showing too many of my cards too early. And then I guess I had the opposite issue now where people are like, she's not showing any cards. So yeah, I like overcorrected. I feel like that aspect. Like I feel like I could have probably been thinking more strategically at certain points. But yeah, I also think I just became a different person between because I started the game at 18 when I started season 2. And at this point
I didn't. That's so young.
Yeah, like fresh out of it was one semester of college.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Forget about that. Like, yeah, you, Lucy, and Kevin were all freshmen.
Yeah, we were babies. When like I look back at season 2 footage, I'm like, wow. So like, and I think that honestly explains all 3 of us how we were because by the time season 5 was like, we were still some essence of those people, but we definitely evolved more.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I was like 20 going on 21 with season 5. So it was just like I was more mature. I don't know where I was going with that point, but yeah. It's just like season 2 is a different era.
It was. You talked at Final Tribal Council about how you kind of compared yourself to Mallory and that that was really interesting because watching the back, I must have like blacked out during the finale and just forgot because I forgot. I never remembered you saying this, but to Nick's question, you said that, yeah, I voted for you. He was like, why should I vote for you? Given that you voted for me and like you played more of a Mallory type game. And you're like, yeah, well, I've grown over the past few years. And like, I respect the Mallory type, like social game more than I did back then. Like, I thought that was a really interesting answer.
No, yeah, it's very true too. Cause like, I think back a lot of like Michelle versus Aubrey, which is what we kind of compared to a lot. And I was such an Aubrey girl when I was watching. But then like I got older and I was like, Michelle played a really good game. And I like respected it more. And that was part of the growth. And honestly, Michelle is on the challenge now. And she's still a very social, strategic player. There's some issues with like she has beef with people on the show. But like I definitely am able to like see more why she won her Survivor season. And also I'm like, that's also just the thing. It's like you have to appeal to a jury and you just don't know what the jury is going to want. So I feel like you have to full commit to like whatever strategy you go with. And I definitely, like I wasn't trying to be like Mallory in any way, but I do think a lot about how people talk about how returning players often play like the people who like won their season. So they talk about like Sarah plays like Tony. And I'm like, I wonder if that like subconsciously was happening with me as well.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I definitely had that at least like because we both played in season 2 and I saw it as like, oh, like Mallory was like really loyal to Nick. Like they had their like duo and it got him to the end. And that's kind of how I saw like my alliance with Leia, like with you.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then you saw it as like, you know, Mallory's like social side in that example, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a bunch of questions from viewers that we'll have to squeeze in. So I'm going to ask one right now. Let's see. Okay. First one. This person says, wait, I don't really get the question. They say, I will be voting for you to win no matter what. Because, we have to follow Miss Megan with everything she does. But I still have a little question for you.
I think.
What were you?
I think they were trying to say like, oh, like I'll vote for you as like my fan favorite or whatever in the Google form.
Oh, okay.
This is the person that ranted about. I remember this is coming full circle.
Oh, okay. This one person literally roasted shit out of Cooper, Sam, and Andrew, and then your question is like so tame compared to that.
Yeah,
they were literally like going off on those.
Definitely gave me so much clout, and I respect that. We didn't know at the time it was gonna be clout, but yeah.
Okay, so I think their actual question is, what were you trying to do during the Jackson vote off right before the revote? And had there been more time, could there have been a difference in your vote?
Yeah, no, I regret that one a lot because not that I really did want Cooper out, but I talked to Leia and I should have talked to like Nick and Sarah about it. So like at one point I'm like whispering to Leia trying to get her to vote Cooper because at that point we knew that they like didn't tell us fully what happened, but we didn't know like if Cooper, like we didn't know who was involved in like getting Jesse out. So I was like, hell yeah, like let's get Cooper out. Like his time has come. Like he's either out late pre-merge or early merge. Like why are we gonna keep him around any longer? This is our opportunity. And I either should just spoke up and been like, I'm voting Cooper to like the big group, or like talk to Nick and Sarah. But again, I like didn't fully trust Nick and Sarah. At that point, like, the only person I could trust was Leia. So yeah, that was really what it was. And also because like Jackson and I were meeting like weekly. We didn't film it because we just were like kind of kikiing it, like not a lot of strategy. Again, Sangria didn't like go to tribal council, so like we didn't really have to talk about strategy for like about 3-ish weeks or so, I think is how much time it really ended up being about. So like me and Jackson would just meet up, and like that's honestly why I feel like even though Megan didn't trust me, Megan definitely wasn't like anti me once the merge happened. And I'm sure like her and Jackson would talk about how I was like one of the few people in Sangria that like was willing to actually keep Jackson around. So, and I felt like the season 4 people were good people to like pick up because the rest of us were like so interconnected. I didn't necessarily want to work with that many season 3 people going into it. Mainly because of like their own dramas. I didn't want to get involved. Like I didn't want it to be like, I want to vote this person out, but like we can't because my alliance member like wants to keep them because they're like besties or whatever, but like hates this other person. So yeah. Jackson going and Jesse the same tribal council. I think that's like one of the first points in the game that I like was starting to like really lose. If Jackson and or Jesse stays, I think I could have managed to merge a little bit better. It worked out for me.
Yeah, I mean, I remember at the merge you did say something like how, yeah, it sucks that I'm on the bottom right now, but I know that I'm safe. I know that they're going to take out Sam, at least like Sam and AJ before they take out me. So I'm still sitting pretty.
Yeah, that was definitely me relying on my social connections with like the majority at the time. And mainly, I think Nick and Sarah probably would have recruited me if they stayed. And also, too, because I was one of the team leaders, and I remember, like, I obviously chose Nick first. But then Jackson was my pick, and I definitely asked Nick, like, who else should I have? And, like, he was, like, Sarah. So that was, like, our group for a little bit. And I wish, honestly, I worked more on developing, like, an alliance with Sarah. And Nick and we just like were too lax about it. We were like, obviously we're aligned, but like we didn't really like strategically talk ever, and like never really got a chance to work together, which was a bummer.
Yeah. Was there anyone who didn't play All Stars who you would have wanted to play?
Yeah, Katie was someone I would have actually loved to play with.
Wait, but Katie, I guess Katie hadn't like. Wait, Katie Ho? Which Katie?
Yeah, Katie Ho.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking
Katie Reed. I'm like,
same.
She could just jump in All Stars, you know.
Wait, I didn't know you were friends with Katie Ho.
I wasn't necessarily friends, but she worked with Ben and Nate, and those are obviously my friends.
Yeah.
So I also just think that we could have kicked it. Like she was an art student, and I liked her vibe a lot. So like, I think I would have early on, if she played, would have like really tried to meet up with her. AJ and I actually also met up a lot early on. We also didn't film it, but that was why like whenever we did get smashed together with Sam's I like wasn't really into voting out AJ at the time because I was like working on that alliance. I'm trying to think who else didn't play. I don't think I could have worked with Lavana. I wish Abby was there for sure. I honestly know if we would have worked together. I feel like we would have. But I think she would have been fun and chaotic to play with.
Yeah. Wait, why wouldn't you want to work with Lavana?
She's just like way too chaotic. I can't work with people who are like as much as I adore Kevin, I just can't work with Kevin. Like it's just like people who I just do not know what their next thought or move is going to be is too hard. I don't like unpredictability.
What about like Sarah Avery? Could we've gotten like Bunny Alliance back together? You know?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
TBT.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who else I don't know. Sarah Menace, I feel like I probably would have maybe worked with. But yeah, I told Nate not to apply because Nate, Nate's not like an unpredictable player. I think it just would have caused more issues for me than anything.
The puzzler.
The puzzler, yeah.
It would have caused too many puzzles for you to have to solve.
Yeah, and also like we just are not, even when we play like the drunk games, we are never loyal to each other. Like he also has burned me just as much as I've burned him. So I don't know why he always does this in meeting. Like he's like, "You're gonna vote me out first," and I'm like, "Bruh, like you've also been against me."
Yeah, I kind of wanted to ask also just of friends who you don't really work with, is just go into more about you and Adam, AJ's relationship, because it seems like you guys were like friends, but like didn't really want to work together. Like you said that you kind of were eventually, you know, obviously clumped together, but like, what was all that about?
Yeah, so AJ and I actually have a mutual friend who they were really close to in high school, and she ended up being like my first year and like my junior senior roommate. So yeah, basically like going into season 4, there was a middle school dance party the night before season 4 started, and a bunch of surprise people pre-gamed at my house. It was a theater party, and like so they came over, and AJ was there because like they knew my friend who invited them, and we all were like, "Oh my gosh, like this is someone who's playing season 4 tomorrow." It's like all of us producers were like all hyped and drunk and excited. So AJ lived here for like a really great introduction into the like community. And then like obviously like they fizzled out pretty early in season 4. But yeah, like really quickly. But at the season 4 after party, like at one point it was like Cooper, AJ, and I, and like we weren't doing like final 3 or anything, but like I think at that point I was like, oh yeah, like AJ's like really cool. Like I didn't really get to see that in the season because of how shortly they played, but this is a cool person. And then obviously my mutual friend was like hyping them up as well. But me and my mutual friend had a beef that year, that semester. And that kind of impacted, and that was happening around the time like AJ and I were kind of like beefing as well, which is pretty one-sided from me. And it was kind of like, I don't know, I feel like it was pretty emotional decision to vote them out. Although I was honestly stressed too about what would have happened in season, like at Final 4 if we did get to a Final 4, because although I didn't at the time know how close like Sam and Leia actually were, I didn't think that they were going to vote each other out. I did think it was going to come down to like me versus AJ getting voted out, and or like AJ winning final immunity, which I think could have really happened.
Oh yeah,
because they just have so much grit. Like
it would have been out there. Yeah.
It was just something I didn't want to see happen. I was like, this cannot be the Final 4 for my individual game. So yeah, unfortunately, I did vote them out. But like, there was a line that like Ian cut from like the fight in which I called AJ a snake, like our friend, and like that very much. And that's why AJ was really pressed about us like not being friends outside the game, because like they knew like what was happening with like our other friend. So like it really was like that was like very outside the game emotional, which was tough. Playing All Stars was hard.
Yeah.
And that's like an underrated or thing that people don't like really talk about as much. I feel like is that with like College Survivor is like how much it's not a bubble. You're not in a house. You're not on an island. Like there's also weird other things happening that could impact the game. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And like it obviously doesn't get shown. Like there's a lot of things that people asked to get cut and Ian respected it, which was great. And like similar, like Lucy and Dylan had a similar like outside emotional issue. So it's just like that shit happens because we're playing on a college campus and we're like our emotions are heightened and we're also like dealing with the stress of being at Michigan. Like,
yeah,
I was doing Stats 250, which for some people probably isn't a hard class, but I'm a little theater major. Like,
yeah,
I like barely passed it. I got a D, and like everyone in my major, we celebrated. We were like one of us passed Stats 250. Like, it was like a big deal for us, and it's like that class during All Stars killed me. There were like a lot of times I'd meet up with Cooper and be like, fuck, I had to churn in something in 15 minutes, but like, I guess I'm gonna take the L, like, lose my points. And also I was like, Cooper, like, help me, like, with stats, and then we like weren't really friends anymore during the game, so I wasn't like having him help me with stats.
Oh no.
Funnily enough, just a fun fact about me is I did the opposite. Is my season that I played, I took an acting class randomly in the RC.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Thing. Yeah, it was
fun. Did it
help
you in? Do you think season 2?
Well, it was during season 4, and I feel like it almost did the opposite. It made me like want to feel like, oh, now I'm an actor now. I've taken one class, I can really pull one over of these lies and stuff. I feel like it made me got to my head, and I feel like it was probably bad for me.
What do you do in acting class? Is it like a bunch of improv games?
Yeah, there's like some stuff like that. I remember, like we just did like I think this class was like kind of a cross like acting / just like studying scripts and stuff, like classic plays and stuff. And then it's like we would do that, and then we like actually get parts of it and act it out and blah blah. It was a lot of fun. Definitely a recommendation for anybody in college who's in a more scientific or whatever field. Take an acting class or other random RD classes while you're there.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun, silly classes. That's something I'm very grateful for being a theater major. I was like, I had a lot of fun in school versus like I see a lot of my like friends outside stressed out from like real midterms and finals, and I'm like, oh, I'm like doodling. No, so that's the thing is like playing the game is not isolated. Like I think if I'm playing Survivor on an island, even though I'm like hungry and not sleeping and like getting eaten alive by bugs, at the end of the day, like your main focus is like just Survivor. So
yeah.
And also like I think the difference between season 2 and season 5 is like season 2 we weren't aware of like the possibility of like the friendships and community after playing, and now there's 2 of us. But like season 5, they're like, and you feel that like the whole undercurrent is like the fact that we do have this outside community and friendships.
Yeah.
And so like season 2, like it's easier to backstab people because you're like, maybe I won't see them.
No, that's so true. Oh, I think Jack got kicked to
he's saying
the backstage.
He needs to let him back in.
He got kicked. No, but you're so right. That's why I'm like, because I've never played like an all-star season. I think it's a lot easier coming into a cast where nobody really knows you, because you can also like hide parts about yourself that you don't want people to know. That'll make you like more threatening. There's no like reputation you have to work around.
Like exactly. Like because we really, most of us were. I'm trying to think season 2. Like, I don't think anyone really knew each other. We were all strangers.
I knew Maggie. Like Maggie and I kind of knew each other a little bit.
Yeah. But I always viewed that in the same way that like Bailey and I, our towns are right next to each other.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, like but you knew of like I feel like Maggie's high school. Like high school's a little different though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, we were in completely different circles. It's like crazy how Survivor brought us together.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh.
Okay.
Hello, Jack.
Hey, Jack. I wonder if you felt that with season 4, I suppose. I don't know. It may have been different because we were late. But I was saying how, like, season 2, we weren't aware that, like, we would be, like, friends with these people. Like, you could backstab someone because you're like, I won't ever see them again. But, like, when you're playing your second season, you are more cautious of the fact that, like, there is this community and you could have a friendship with them. So it's like those decisions can be somewhat a little bit more emotional based.
I feel like I would have felt that, but also I was a senior, so I was graduating. Like, I feel like it's also a different thing. Like if you're a junior, yeah. So I mean, but also I feel like that, I don't know, made me almost hesitate a little bit, or like I feel like that was like part of the thing with like Ben and like Elise and Matthew especially, but just like, you know, having that shared experience already before, not even just we're the returnees, we're gonna work together, but like, you know.
Yeah, I feel like you also were friends though with like Camilla and Megan.
That's true.
So true. Yeah, so it would have been really hard for me to vote either of them. I don't know if I ever would have, but maybe who knows?
Really?
I say that, but that's probably not true. But I don't know.
I feel like were you more likely to vote out Sarah and Sam in season 2 then? You think maybe?
Yeah, because I guess you did vote out Sam.
Yeah, I mean I did.
Would you have voted me?
I don't know. That's my truthful answer. I mean, probably there would have been some scenario, but I feel like, especially after. I mean, I don't want this just to turn into us. You're doing season 2 again, but like.
No, I just was like observing that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Which is like why I think season 5, like I was saying that there's a whole undercurrent of the fact that like these social connections like matter. Like you didn't want to vote out people because you're not going to see them again. You will see them again, and you know that. And now we have like reunions, so I wonder how it plays into like the future generations where it's like you may see them every year for the rest of your life.
That's so true. Okay, somebody
I hope we see him every year. Like, it's gonna be kind of weird. Like, are we gonna be like 50 years old still going to like to like current college survivors? Like, when's that line gonna be drawn? I don't know.
You should cut this part out. You have to. But the fact that like some of our peers were like hooking up with like students at the last reunion, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I was like,
that's a little. I don't know. I'm not gonna. we're all adults, I guess, but. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't been to any of those reunions. I just go to our adult spring break ones.
Yeah, I'm not going to the next reunion, but that's because I have a conflict. Yeah.
Okay, somebody asks.
Wait, you asked the last one, Sarah.
Okay, you asked.
I thought we were gonna alternate. Come on, that's how I always do it.
I was gonna jump around.
Okay, you can ask. I'm sorry.
No, you ask.
We kind of did this one already. I feel like. Oh
yeah, you did. You did ask that one.
So did you consider voting out Sam instead of Bailey at Final 6?
Honestly, I don't think so. The Final 6 one was honestly a blur. So I was in a directing class on North Campus, which is why I would often be late to a lot of those like meetings where people are like, "Oh, we're waiting for Bree." It's because I was coming from fucking North Campus at like 5 p.m. from a directing class. But like that was like the bane of my existence for like right after AJ vote through like until Final 4 was like starting basically. So like this Final 6 vote I feel like happened really quickly that I really didn't even really consider much of like what we were voting. I was really just focused on I just didn't want those 3, Cooper, Andrew, and Bailey, to still be able to work together. And like in our heads, it just didn't make sense that they weren't working together. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like obviously it's about to be like this 3-3 vote. So like how are we gonna avoid this 3-3 vote? And I think even though I was pretty confident that like most people want to take me to the end after Megan left, I still like knew that I could catch a stray, and like Final 6 could have been like the time I caught a stray. Because I pretty publicly like never looked for idols. Like that's just not my thing. I really don't care. Like searching for things just not fun for me. So I was always someone that's like a safe vote. Like I would be vulnerable in the position in that when they're like, in the same way that like Bailey also low key like became like the safe vote for that vote. So yeah, I really didn't really think about voting out Sam. Yeah, I think also like at that point, if I was going to vote out anyone, and that was like my whole debate was like Leia. I don't think I was even like approaching the thought of voting out Sam ever, to be honest. After the Aaron versus Sam vote.
Makes sense. Okay, next question. Do you regret not voting out Leia at Final 5? And do you think you would have won if you did?
I don't really know if I would have won, but I do regret not voting her out Final 5. I just don't think that was a lot of like my debate in the way that like if I would have went to jury, I would have definitely been like Leia's biggest advocate. I didn't really think Leia was going to advocate for me to the jury. And that was also part of my debate of like voting her out or not. And even then, so that was the thing. I was like, I do regret not voting her out, but I don't really know if I would have won. Because I think that she just would have very easily been like, everything that Brie did was what I did. But like, I don't know. I also felt like I was trying to make independent decisions. Like, beyond Leia forming the Will of the Bee alliance, like, we did work together, but I didn't necessarily like want to work with Leia the whole time. It just kind of became happenstance because of like a lot of people that I would have worked with got knocked out like in a row. So like even Nick going out first in the pre-merge, people were really like what I think it was like Final 9 or when Sarah was still in the game, where people were like, why are the people on the bottom not coming together? Like Emily B, AJ, Megan, Brie, Sarah, and I'm like, if they know any of us, that group chat could never exist. Like, that's just not 5 people who would be communicating together or meeting together, even though we probably should have. But I was like, Nick could have, I think, rallied us more than Sarah could. So Nick going out was really good for, like, I think Sam, Cooper, and Leia. That was a good decision for them. But Nick would have really rallied the bottom people, and so him going out too kind of was a bummer. Like I was like, so that's like the thing. Then I was like, I guess I have Leia, who I've been working with since day one, so that's why I kind of got into that duo with her.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, do you think, next question, do you think there's anything that you could have done differently to get more jury votes? I guess that's kind of a broad question, but like.
I think they really did want me to vote out Leia, so I think that would have helped. So the thing is like, I don't know who wins the Final 4 challenge after that, so it's really hard to be like, and then I vote out this person. But I think that Cooper was obviously wanting Sam out, and I just don't know who I would have sat. Like, I just don't know who I would have voted out, because I was really worried about Andrew's underdog story and like the fact that he obviously like got rocked out. Like he had a really good story. I don't really have like a good story. Like I was like a mid boot. Like who cares? So and also like Andrew like was social with like a certain part of the club, but like a lot of people like didn't know him until I feel like who were playing until Survivor. So then I think like he just like had like ability factor in that sense. And then I didn't really think Cooper could win. So I think it would have been between Sam and Andrew, depending on who won immunity. But like, I think that was the thing, is like, I could have won it in those last 2 votes. I just don't necessarily know if I would have made both right decisions to like get there. And then again, I do think how people talk at Final Travel could have played somewhat of a factor. Like, I mean, even AJ changing their vote at the end. Like that, which I didn't believe.
I know. Well, yeah, he literally said in Vegas, or sorry, they literally said in Vegas that they wanted to vote for you. Yeah. But wanted the storyline with Sam to get highlighted, I think.
Well, like, so
it's always the story.
They told me right after Final Tribal, like, they're like, I almost voted for you. And I just was like, LOL. You know, like, people just say that, like, LOL, thank you. And then I think, like, a few other people, like, similarly said that, like, maybe Nick, and maybe Kevin. It was like enough people where I was like, I could have gotten the votes, which was annoying. And similar to Sam, like I blacked out because I guess I would have seen a vote that was crossed out with like a B, but I didn't really put it together. So
it could have been a vote for Bea. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing was like I like blacked out when the votes were being read. So, and then when I saw the footage, I was like, shit. Like I feel bad that I literally thought AJ was just like being nice, like for like how many years it's been since All Stars?
3.5 now.
Yeah, 3 years. I like didn't believe they actually were about to vote for me. So like, I do think people went in with like who they were going to vote for, but I think there were a few people who like really could have been convinced based on the speeches. So that's why it's like hard for me to say there's anything I could have done to strategically to win. It just really just came down to those final 5 and final 4 votes, I think.
Yeah.
So like final 4, I mean, I know that you like definitely considered writing down Leia, and then ultimately decided not to. Like, do you think that you could have won if you had voted Leia out? Or I guess made a tie. What happened?
I don't know if I would have won if I voted her out at final 4. I think because especially I think ultimately she plays the same role as Cooper in that aspect where she's hyping you up to the jury. I think I had to make it at 5 ultimately, and that was also my thing too. Was like all of us had like so much trauma whenever it got to like our previous vote out. I think that's what made it like really hard when it was like final 4. Like I didn't really know the ins and outs of Leia's like vote in season 1, but like I really was like, yeah, I didn't
watch the season.
But I like that was the thing, is it did not sit as like final 5 I was really okay doing it, but final 4 I just was like, can I really do this with someone who like I actually am friends with? And like I do, like we were there at that time where like Leia wasn't around much, and then she slowly started to come around to Survivor people more. So like we knew that like she was burned badly by season 1. So I just was like, am I gonna do that to her again? And I just
I'm a tiebreaker again too.
Yeah, I'm just not a cutthroat person like that. Like it was so, I don't know, that was just like so cruel, and I couldn't do it. So
you feel bad about the hug that resulted in her dropping?
No, okay, the hug was an accident. Oh my gosh. So like literally we met up, Sam, Leia, and I right before final 5 vote, and I was very clearly underdressed. I guess I just didn't understand that we were gonna be outside. I don't know what I was wearing like some cheap Fabletics leggings and just my winter coat.
Because you didn't watch the season 1 final, immunity challenge,
Like everyone else was like, they were like, Brie, like put on these adult diapers, like we're gonna do an endurance challenge.
Like, the fuck?
Endurance challenge, like a news to me. We just did one like final 6. Like, so I was poorly dressed, and I literally was just like cold, and so like it was Leia's idea. Like the quote says, "Give me a hug." That's not what I said. I think I just was like, I'm cold, so Leia gave me a hug because we're friends. And then I just remember like looking down. Oh my gosh, let me angle a little bit. So like her hand is like we're holding like the statue here, and her hand like slowly comes to my arm, and I'm like looking down, like, and I was like, girl, you're out of the game. Like, so it was not on purpose, but that also was played into my fact. Like that was also why I think I couldn't vote her out final 4. I was like, I don't want her to think that like I intentionally was like masterminding her hugging me during the challenge so she could, even though both of us weren't going to win. That was like going in the challenge, we all kind of knew that. I was like, I'm not gonna, like, that seems like a double blindside for no damn reason. So yeah.
And now, sorry, I had to drop for a little bit in there, so apologies if this has been discussed already. But a question that I've always had over all these years is, at the final 5 tribal council, why did you not like? So you were considerate. You wanted to vote Leia out, but like, and you knew this fake fight was happening. But then after the fake fight happened, like Cooper and Andrew, like, what, you weren't sure if they were going to vote for Leia or not. Like, did you ever consider just like telling them like, hey, like this is all fake, Like we're just you guys should just vote for Leia. I'm voting for Leia. Like forget about what Sam and Leia are saying. Like, did you ever consider just like exposing that to ensure they both voted for Leia?
Well, okay. So when y'all were pitching the fake fight, like that was like what the third fake fight of the season. Like there was a lot of times that they happened and they just ultimately didn't matter. Mm-hmm. Like it was all for show, and then everyone just voted how they were going to vote. So then when Andrew was like saying he was changing his vote, that's what scared me. But like, I guess I should have spoken up. That was, I guess, another thing I should have spoken up on was like, this was fake. Let's just vote. But I do remember Andrew like asking me dead ass like who I was voting for like in front of all of y'all, and I feel like I made eye contact with you and Leia, and I think that was it. It was like I just couldn't say to y'all's faces that I was about to not vote the way that you wanted me to, and I think that's ultimately I think that's my issue is like I have to do it undercover. Like I can't do it like to y'all's faces. I couldn't lie to you. Like for me it was just very hard. And then also obviously I don't remember this part, but I guess I just did the bad math because I'm reflecting later on in my confessional being like there's 5 of us at the tribal council, like it could have been 2-2-1 if I like really actively thought about it, because Cooper was definitely gonna always vote Leia. So yeah, I think it just was like a clusterfuck of thought. Because then also we're going to the Final Four challenge. Like I just think it was just like so much was happening, and that end game went by like faster than it like is perceived to have gone. Like,
did it get like squished at the end?
Yeah, yeah. Like if anything, it was like 1 or 2 days between events, so it's like you had to like actively be like obviously you are having to like think at least a vote ahead usually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like in this case, it was very much like, and I didn't realize also that Leia and Sam had no idea that I was considering flipping. Like that's very interesting to me.
Oh yeah, I never suspected it really. I mean, Leia was I think at Final Four.
Yeah, Final Four.
But
yeah.
Final 5, I just never imagined that at all. I like thought it was like I just never considered it.
Yeah. So.
And yeah, to your note about like how fast it was going, like I want to say it was similar to like CBS like Real Survivor, like that between Bailey going home and like Cooper going home was maybe like 3 or 4 days. Like it was like every day we had like a tribal council for like the last couple ones.
Yeah. Oh, it was
took over life. Like that was like all we were doing was like the final 6 to like the end was like I felt like that was like my entire life.
Yeah, and top of it, like final season ramping up too.
Mm-hmm.
And it was getting cold outside. Those tribal councils, and that's also part of it. Like those tribal councils were kind of hard to sit through at the end. Like I was, if anything, mad that we were stalling the votes because I was like, let's just get this over with, even though we were about to stand outside for hours. So, yeah.
So Bree, do you think the friendship strategy ultimately was detrimental to you in the Final Four scenario, where it broke you when your choice? Why am I reading this wrong? When it broke you when your choices were Cooper and Leia, where the Briach may have been more accessible had you brought non-Bree's list people to the Final Four.
I guess you kind of, I guess you touched on that a little bit. How it's like harder playing with your friends.
Yeah, like. That was ultimately the thing. Like, even though AJ and I were like semi-friends, we just didn't have an established friendship. Which is like because that's the thing you're not seeing is like for the full year before during season 3, season 4, like you knew these people were like so invested. It was something that we always were talking about and like cared about, even though like they're like Leia didn't want to audition or whatever. Like she wanted to play. And that's the thing is like you don't know like the people that you weren't as close to, like you didn't know like their emotional investment as much, or like you didn't discuss it with them as much, I feel like. So like that's kind of why I feel like, even because those things like I was so like willing to vote out Cooper very early on in the game, but then like when it came down to it, I'm like, this boy like fully took on this whole other role to have this show to keep going so he could play All Stars. And now he's almost at Final Tribal Council. Like, it honestly hurt me to like take that away from him as well. And that's why I was like, I don't know who I would have voted for as like Final Four if Leia was out Final Five either. It's like I didn't even consider like my emotional impact with that. Like, it would have been easiest for me probably to vote out Andrew because I just I didn't know how much. Although Andrew getting rocked out did like impact the producers. Like we all were like shit.
Matthew Israel was in shambles.
Yeah, like that was hard on us. There was a couple.
Yeah.
That was because that was at the bullying tribal too. Like
yeah,
that was dramatic.
Yeah, so like that was the things like. So yeah, I do think if I would have taken people who like I just didn't know as well, it would have just been easier to cut them at the end because like, yeah, like I know that they care, but like I knew these people have like we just talked about it so much, you know, it was like a dream. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember you had a quote in the finale saying like, maybe I don't even know if it was in the finale or not. I remember I like watched and summarized a lot of your footage for the finale, at least like hours and hours of it. And one of the things you were saying was how like Sam, Leia, Cooper, like they're all like seniors. They've all like wanted this for so long, yada, yada, yada. Like they all want it so badly. And it was like, that was one of the things you noted is like why Final Four was so hard for you.
Yeah. I forgot y'all were all seniors too. That definitely did play a part. Cause it was like, for me, I'm like, junior year, like I'm doing stats 250. Like I'm just trying to get through. Like for y'all, like that's like gonna be a big moment in your senior year story. So yeah. I also too enjoy producing way more than playing. And I think that also is a big factor in how I felt too. Like I honestly played because I knew we like lacked diversity. So, because I did, again, me not being able to make decisions, I was debating not auditioning versus just producing. And I honestly think I would have had way more fun producing. But I also did have a good time playing because when else would I be able to play with like some of my like friends? So
yeah,
you made the final three.
And I made the final
three. Got multiple votes at the final three. You know.
Yeah, I think that's also part of it. Was like I never thought I was gonna make it that far, so then it was like, oh, it's happening.
Yeah, I can't decide if I like producing better or playing. What do you guys think, Jack and Sam?
Oh, I think any day.
Playing, yeah.
Really? I do get the perks of producing though, because you can kind of watch everyone's confessionals and like you just like know you have all the info.
See, like that's the part I enjoy. It's like the actual it's like what I was doing for my job. Like developing the season was always just so much fun for me.
Right, like coming up with challenges. Like I really enjoy like I'm like helping to produce Survivor San Diego right now. It's so fun.
Yeah, like that part is just so enjoyable. And like I would have had so much fun, I think, producing season 5, even though production had a tough time last season.
You got your buddies Ben and Nate on the season. Watch them. They both had like a lot of big moments in their seasons.
They did. They're like characters.
Recruits, yeah. Yeah, Ben and Nicholas like being the. I guess maybe there were technically more recruits before that, but from like our generation of production at least.
Yeah, Sarah G's the OG recruit.
That's right. You're right. Yeah. Straight from Claire.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
The one I think dropped last minute, they were saying, I think. And so Claire was like Sarah, which is incredible because Sarah is like such a great player. So like,
yeah,
it's a good recruit too.
Yeah.
And Sarah got Chidi to play.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if anyone else recruited season 2.
I was not.
No, I don't think anyone else was. I'm trying to think.
No, well, Lucy got Dylan. Dylan was also one of the season 3 recruits.
Yeah, season 3 was like we were really trying to build the club up, and I think the main way we had to do that was like getting people that we knew to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got some characters.
season 3 best cast, I think.
It was wild. Like the most dynamic cast for sure.
The most reality TV of like
yeah,
all.
like
of all time, all reality TV, season 3 is where Michigan's best cast.
Like that's a season where like I feel like if you got the same exact people to just play again, like it would
still be dramatic.
Yeah, and it would be completely different. Like I feel like you know some seasons like I feel like the same people are going to end up like at the top probably, but I feel like season 3 could be completely different every time you play it, you know.
That's so true, actually.
Because the tribes were formed very like randomly. Like, remember, it was like all like, oh, find a trio and like that's your tribe.
Oh yeah. And it worked out perfectly.
It worked out so well. Like,
yeah. You got like the brain, the brawn, the whatever. Like literally.
Wow.
So Bree, we have a few more questions here. One of them is if it's a surprise final 2, how does it affect your end game?
Well, it depends when we're finding out. If we're finding out final 3, I think I just accept that I'm fucked. Like, yeah, like I don't.
Let's say we find out at like final, I don't know, I guess like final 5 or something, final 6.
Final 6, I think would be easier. I do think I'm not. I think I am keeping Bailey. So in any way that can happen.
Like, do you think would she have been your final 2 person?
I don't think she would have necessarily been my final 2, but I think it would have given me more avenues to go to final 2. I don't necessarily know if I make the proper leap to separate you and Leia at that point yet, but like Bailey, I think it would be someone I'd be like really pro voting you out. So like if I needed it, it'd be helpful to keep Bailey around at that time.
Makes sense.
So I probably would try to get Andrew, I guess, at final 6. Was he immune though? He was immune at final 6.
No, we were pretty sure that Cooper was going to play an idol on him because I think that Cooper Leia was immune, and then I think the debate was that it was whether we vote off Bailey. Well, we could have voted for any of the 3 of them, but like we didn't know if Cooper played the idol on himself or on Andrew. I remember you really wanted to just like put it on Cooper because you didn't think he would play it for himself, and you were right.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, but if it's final 2, we all know it's final 2. I'm like, that week plays out so differently. So I'm like trying to figure out. I don't know. I guess I'd probably let Bailey lead especially because Bailey trusted me at the AJ vote, and I liked that a lot that she did that. Which was funny because she was so mad about the one vote on her and was telling them like, "I told you so." To like Cooper and Andrew.
That was
like, you should have. What was like? She was mad about the idol not being played. Yeah. So Bailey, I would have tried to keep. I guess I would have tried to figure. I guess it depends what everyone else is trying to do. But I think the best move would have been definitely targeting one of the boys out at that point. And then probably eventually Sam.
That's the Nighthawks. You mean?
Huh?
You mean the Nighthawks? One of the Nighthawks.
Alliance was called the Meat Shields Alliance.
Yeah,
was called.
We had an alliance called the Nighthawks that lasted about like 1 hour.
Yeah, so I'm gonna target the Nighthawks. And then after that, probably Sam. I guess honestly would have been the best move. There's final 2. I think. Ultimately, I would have wanted, which is what I wanted the final 3 to be with, regardless, was Bailey, Leia, and I. I wanted a girl to win really badly. So, but I do think both of them would take me over the other because it would have been too risky, I think, to take each other. Leia and Bailey couldn't take each other. So
I can see that being like a really good final 3 for you, especially if there's a final 2. Because like,
yeah, I love Bailey, but I just was not thinking that I thought she'd be too defensive at Final Tribal and not say what the jury wants to say. Because I know people were like, she's so confident she could beat Bailey. And that's really what it was. I was like, Bailey's going to be very defensive. And Leia, similarly, I just wasn't really thinking too far Leia being like super defensive, but she kind of can be too.
Yeah.
And I'm just not. I'll be like, yeah, I did do that. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
And I can also see like a scenario where Leia and Bailey could take votes from each other as both playing kind of similar type games.
Yeah.
Whereas like you played the best social game of the three of them and kind of like could have a different like narrative. That's why a part of me thought that like if you went to the end with Cooper and Andrew again, like, or even like with me and Cooper, that might be a scenario where like, because you were like are separated from the two of us, and like maybe you would have
pissed off the least amount of people.
Yeah.
I think. And like not even another thing, people weren't mad about being voted out. It just was like the treatment before they'd get voted out would like be what people were pissed about. And I was always wanting to meet with people and like talk about it. Like Sarah trying to convince me to like flip, and she was right because she was like, I'm trying to tell Bree things that I don't know is true. And honestly, like in the 8, I was positioned like well. Like I had 4 people alliances in that. The only person that's why I was like, or the 7. I was like the person I would get out is Cooper, because Cooper's the only one that I don't have like a smaller alliance with at the 7. So I always thought that like AJ was pressed for like no reason, and it ultimately burned them because they did get out at 7 because they didn't do it. So, so yeah, that's the thing is like, I don't know. Girls Alliance, I think, was always my best bet of winning high key, just because I was the most friendly to people getting out. Out. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Last question from the audience. Were there any moments or game insights that didn't make the edit or that weren't recorded that you wish were? And did you think the jury gave you a fair shot? Which you kind of answered that one, but yeah, basically anything that wasn't shown.
Yeah, I wish I like filmed a lot of my earlier meetings with people, because I think that Ian could have used that a lot more to develop the fact that I was playing really socially. Because I had so much downtime, like I wasn't like, oh, I'm not gonna talk to people, like I don't need to. Like that first like 3 days, I met with everyone on my tribe individually.
Yeah.
And I was
that's a lot of work.
Yeah. and it was like for no reason, if we're not being a tribal. But like I felt like it was really important to like establish, because I think also too is like you want to know who you want to work with, and that's really when I was like, even though Jesse and Leia did not want to work with Jackson, I was like, Jackson's cool, like trust me, like we should just keep him. Like versus Kevin, who was going to like do whatever. And ultimately like we didn't. That's the thing too, is like we never went to tribal. I do think Jackson would have went home, but I think Kevin would have been the best bet, especially because like I think Will staying would have been really good for my game, low key. Longer if Will stayed longer. But yeah, I think just filming a lot of those meetings I had with people earlier on. Yeah, I don't know what else. I had a fun time, even though it was like miserable. A lot of it, I did enjoy myself. So
that's good.
Yeah. Also, the pregnancy thing. That was,
oh my god.
Yeah.
Your dad was so nice. He like didn't he like order you food?
Ian edited it weirdly. My friend worked at Espresso Royale, and I would like. So she was like, when they closed, she would either stop by my house to like drop off like all the extra food. But I was like, oh, I'm at like Survivor at Mason, which is closer than where she would have to walk further from my house anyways. So she just came by, and also she like brought me a chai tea. So she like dropped off like bagels and shit. So like everyone was like grubbing, which I think got cut. But my dad was pissed, which is why we were not able to tell our parents till like after the challenge that was fake.
Yeah.
Like my dad was like threatening to buy a plane ticket.
Oh my god.
So, like they were like, okay, like everyone can tell their parents now. Yeah, but also like my parents had me in college, so so like basically I think Sam or Nick got it first, and as soon as one of them got it, we all knew the dares were the same for each tribe. So I assumed, like whoever gets it, just pass it to me. Like I can't get in trouble because who are they to tell me not to do that? And I was just like, it's fine. Like that was always their thing. It was like it ended up being great because you went to Michigan, like you were successful. But, like, so I was like, it's okay. Like my parents will be like understanding. And my mom didn't believe me, but my dad did, and he was so upset.
Oh.
But I think the dare really should have been like calling like for girls, their dad, and then the sons, their moms. Because I think like the moms reacted differently with their sons.
That's true.
Like I think depending how strict your mom is. How was your mom?
Oh, she was upset.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like I think my mom being like, not every girl's mom, but most moms would be like, how do we fix this? Like more understanding, like let's remediate the situation. But the dads, I think, would freak out more. So
yeah, that's true. Well, this has been great. Do you guys have any other questions?
I mean, anything else you want to say, Bree, just about All-Stars or your Survivor Michigan experience as a whole?
Your legacy.
Yeah.
No, I feel like my legacy is that Amazing Race challenge season 4. That's the one thing I'm like most proud of Survivor Michigan. No, I'm just glad that. So actually, Nate and then the mutual friend that AJ and I have are the two people who encouraged me to apply for season 2. And honestly, I'm just grateful that they did because, again, like we didn't know when we started season 2, like what all this would become. Even just like the fandom that is around it, like the fact that y'all can even have like this podcast and like keep it going for this long, like it's kind of beautiful. So I like it's the whole like being a part of something special makes you special. Pretty sure it's complete. So like that I do enjoy, and it's cute that we have like Gen 3 or whatever now. So yeah, even though I'm not as involved in the community, I feel like these days, it's nice that it's still going on, and I was there towards the beginning of it. So
yeah. I mean, Bree, it was. First of all, we represented Ohana. Ohana made it all the way to the final 3. So
let's go.
Ohana,
any more questions about
my favorite tribe?
This best tribe is? I mean, come on. The evidence, the statistical evidence is right there. But I mean, you were. It's been awesome watching you on TV over the years and being friends with you, and you were great. Played a great social game, and I just love the friendship that we've had over the years, and that it evolved from just this random thing that we did whenever we walked up to the snowy steps at Palmer.
I remember that day so well.
I did too. I wore Converse, which was dumb. So.
It was a core memory.
That's what I was going to say.
Bree, you didn't have warm enough clothes on that day. Remember that was like disgusting.
Wait, no, literally, I never had warm enough clothes for Michigan. I was very prepared.
From your first challenge to your last challenge.
Yeah,
full circle.
That's so funny.
Full circle moment. No, I'm just very Ohana was iconic. We deserved better season 2, but it is what it is.
We did it to ourselves, I guess. We did all vote for each other at the end of the day.
All right. Well, this was great. Thanks for joining us, Bree.
Yeah, it's been awesome, Bree.
I don't know. How do I leave?
Well, you leave by hitting the leave.
Sam can stop the recording.
So, All right. Thanks for coming on, and sure, we'll see you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.